هرچا پیجندلې د پښتون ننګو نشان یما هرچا پیجندلې د پښتون ننګو نشان یما روح د باچا خان یما روح د باچا خان یما زه په فلسفه د خپل بابا فخر افغان یما روح د باچا خان یما باچا خان یما روح د باچا خان یما روح د باچا خان یما.
Thank you, James, for introducing me and introducing the Bacha Khan fourth lecture. Chair Dr. James, Caron, Dr. Mavish Ahmad, Usman Olasyur, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here, and I'm very lucky that 4 or 5 years ago, when a few great teachers from S.O.A.S and other colleges from here, they came together and they thought about this idea of Bacha Khan lectures. And one of them was Mughal Saab. I think he's not here, but it was his idea. Mukulika Banerjee, who was busy and she couldn't come, she has also authored the Patan Unarmed. And then my friend Nader Chima, he's here. He's busy in some work anyway. So these were the people who had this idea to start Bacha Khan lectures, and this is our fourth series. So let me begin a little bit about Bacha Khan. You must have heard about Ghani Khan. About Ghani Khan, the legendary Pashto poet and philosopher. And Ghani Khan was one of the 3 amazing sons of Bacha Khan. And I'm mentioning Ghani Khan because Ghani Khan, while dedicating his book, The Pathan, to his father, he has beautifully adored Bacha Khan. Quoted. He says, I dedicate this book to the first Pathan I knew. I dedicate this book to the first Pathan I knew, and to the finest I have ever known, my father Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. This is the dedication of Ghani Khan of his book to his father. And Ghani Khan was a great philosopher. If we count like 4 or 5 philosophers in South Asia, Ghani Khan must be one of them. So such a praise from one's own son, I think it's something huge, because sons and daughters knows your weaknesses as well. Born on 6 February 1890 and died on 20th January 1988. In his 98 years of life, Bacha Khan's first and last love were his people. Bacha Khan's first and last love were his people. He loved them and they loved him. In the words of Ghani Khan, I am quoting him, he wanted to see them united, educated, reformed and organized. Bacha Khan was tortured, he was wounded, he was imprisoned, he was enchained both by the British Raj and by the Pakistani governments, but no one could break his indomitable spirit. For his contemporary Khans, like the notables of Pukhtunkhwa, he was Badshah Khan, like King Khan or the Chief of Khans, and for his people he was Fakhri Afghan, the pride of Pashtuns. Badshah Khan is one of the most prominent political leader in the history of Pashtuns. He was also one of the most influential reformers of the subcontinent. Humanity is proud of this beautiful human being. Again, I quote his son, the great poet Ghani Khan, and he says, quoted, "He really is the politics of Pashtuns." The nation of fighters had discovered their leader in him. He was a leader with a prophetic vision. During his visit to Ziauddin, Gandhiji is quoted as telling the audience, quoted, "Badshah Khan and Khudai Khidmatgar deserve more credit than me and Congress." This is what Gandhi says. Badshah Khan and Khudai Khidmatgar deserve more credit than me and Congress, as Hindus belong to a comparatively non-martial race, and turning the most violent people into peace-loving and law-abiding citizens was an incomparable achievement. In an age where armed struggle or militancy could be a popular idea for fighting for freedom against the British Raj, Badshah Khan believed in non-violence, righteousness and passions. He led by example. He was free from prejudices and traditional tribal feuds. Again, I quote the great poet Ghani Khan, quoted, "He forgave everything to everyone. He forgave everything to everyone and possessed unlimited passions." He spent 37 years of his life in jail, but he was a role model prisoner. Very honest. He ground his 40 pounds of corn daily with the hand mill and never complained. You can't compare any leader of today with Badshah Khan. When they spend just few weeks in jail or months in jail, then they make a hue and cry. Anyway, we can learn from him. Badshah Khan had a holistic approach and comprehensive strategy for the freedom, prosperity, and happiness of his people. He wanted them to uplift, social uplift, economic uplift, and above all, political uplift. He saw that 98% of the population was illiterate, so he started Azad schools. He knew that Pashtuns were divided because of tribal feuds and harmful traditions and social taboos and norms. So he founded Anjumani Islahi Afagina. And from sanitation to health, hygiene, and to education, he influenced Pashtun culture in every way. But the oppressors, the British Raj, and later on the Pakistani governments, they looked at his reform work as a rebel. They misunderstood him, and his social services were considered as a rebel. Soon he realized, this is a very important line, Soon he realized that political freedom was a prerequisite for social good. If you want to do some social good, if you want to open schools or do any other social good, unless you are not politically independent, you can't do anything. So he established Khudai Khidmatgar. And Khudai Khidmatgar, their aim was freedom and their motto was service. Pashtuns as a nation, for their political savvy and wisdom, owe to Bacha Khan. I have myself seen the power of his non-violence, the power of his righteousness and passions in our struggle against Talibanization in the S.O.A.S Valley. Traditionally, when Taliban insurgency started in the S.O.A.S Valley, traditionally we people, like the community leaders of S.O.A.S, we were supposed to pick guns against guns. But no, we did not. Because we believed in Bacha Khan's philosophy of peace. And rather than picking the guns, we raised our voice. And our voices were more powerful than the bombs and guns and suicide attacks of Taliban. And let me say that our peaceful resistance prevailed and the extremists were the losers. And even right now, if we just look at the political scenario, human rights movements in Pakistan or in India, they are all inspired by the philosophy of Bacha Khan. So he prevails. He lives among us. One thing, Pashtuns have to rethink. I should not limit Bacha Khan just to Pashtuns because his philosophy for everyone, every nation. But for Pashtuns, it was his dream that women should participate in every field of life, in every sector of life. And I don't see many Pashtun women in this gathering. I would like to ask how many Pashtun ladies are here. Please raise your hands. Okay, thank you. Her husband brought him specially that I complain always. So thank you. Thank you. 5, 6 people, I think. And this is the message for Pashtuns. People who do politics, who think that Bacha Khan is their legacy. Sometimes they have governments and bigger positions because of Bacha Khan's name. I must tell them one thing very clearly, that if you don't believe in the freedom of your sister, wife, daughter, you are not a Bacha Khani. You are telling a lie. You are just for your own interest. Because Bacha Khan was not the kind of person who believed in half of the population. He believed in the whole population. And this was his life. And now, before speaking for so long, because our main speaker is Usman, my friend, let me introduce him. Usman Ali Olasyur. His title or his poetic name means the friend of people. Is a renowned literary figure of S.O.A.S and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, keenly interested in Pashto literature, art and culture. I have been working with him, and I am an eyewitness to his crucial contribution to art, music, literature, and preservation of cultural heritage. In the darkest days of Talibanization from 2005 to 2009, while the Taliban were burning music centers, maiming musicians, and killing singers, Usman, with some other comrades, he was organizing music and poetry concerts at the risk of his life. He was the person raised are a heritage site in danger. He has established S.O.A.S Arts Culture Association Sakha to promote and protect the indigenous culture and knowledge. Usman is also very popular. This thing I say, like, I'm going to invite him now. He's very popular as presenter or moderator for poetry concerts, social gatherings, music concerts. And one of his specialty, I love it, that when he invites speakers to the podium, so he reads a tapa. Tapa is a folklore. It belongs to everyone. So Pashtuns know here what was the actual tapa, but I'm just calling him with the new version, and that is Kada Zalmo Nashwa ka Nashwa. Kada Zalmo Nashwa ka Nashwa Grana Watana Jinake Badi Get Ina. Dera Manana Usman Olasyur.
هم دغه روایت په برقرار وساتو د یو ټپې نه به بیا شروع کړو چې باچا خان سره منسوب یو ټپه ده چې پښتو کوه که ته پښتون یې ما په پښتو باندې پښتۍ ورکړي دي د بخښنه غواړم چې زما انګریزي دومره ښه نه ده چې هغه تاسو باندې خرابه کړم نو د هغې دپاره زه خپل کوم مات ګوډ خیالات چې دي او د نننۍ موضوع چې ده ښځینه حقونو او د ښځو ټولنیز کردار ته د باچا خان نظر د هغې د ویلو نه وړاندې ضروري ګڼم چې د دې درنې دستورې ته د راغلو ټولو ګډونوالو یو جهان مننه وکړم دلته د دې دستورې منتظمین چې په هغې کې په خصوصیت سره ضیاءالدین ډېر زیات یو متحرک غړی دی د هغې سره نادرچیم او نور چې څومره همکاران ملګري دي د هغې ډېره زیاته ستاینه او ډېره مننه کوم چې د دومره مصروف وخت کې د مسافرۍ په دې وخت کې چې تاسو خپل څومره قیمتي وخت دی دستورې ته وبخو او د هغه تحریک د هغه غړي د هغه ملي اتل باچا خان په یاد کې دا دستوره را جوړه کړه چې کوم د دې ریاست چې کوم موږ نه دلته ولاړ یو د برطانیې په قیدونو کې هم هغه 18 کلونه تقریبا په جیلونو کې ویستي دي خو نن مونږ په دې ویاړو چې په هغه خاوره باندې مونږ ولاړ یو او دلته د باچا خان پیغام ټولې نړۍ ته رسوو نو دغه د ستاینې وړ یو هڅه ده د دې ملګرو د تاریخ په اوږدو کې ملګرو زما د دې مقالې یا د سپیچ چې کوم ورجن دی یو ډیټیل ورجن ما چې لیکلی و ضیاءالدین صاحب سره ما مخکې شریک کړی نو دا ریسرچ بیس کار دی یو څېړنیزه مقاله ده نو د هغې تفصیلي که بیا کومو ملګرو ته ضرورت محسوسوو چې هغې په هغې باندې د حوالې او د ریفرنس سره کم څومره کار دی نو دغه تقریبا 27 مخه مقاله ده او ما سره چې کوم ده نو دا مختصره ده په دې یاره کې مو ډېر ټایم په نالو نو هغې کې یو 15 څلور دغه چې دي پرنټس د ضیاءالدین سره دي او نور زه تاسو ته بیا د میل په ذریعه باندې رالیږلی شم د پښتنو د سیاسي تاریخ په اوږدو کې د باچا خان مبارزه او فکري بیداري او دا د یو باقاعده سیاسي عمل بنیادي تیږه وه باقاعده سیاسي تنظیمي عمل ورته ځکه وایم چې د دې نه وړاندې چې کوم د پیرروخان بابا تحریک چلیدلی دی که په هغې کې د میرویس خان بابا تحریک و که د خوشحال بابا کورنۍ وه د دې ټولو سیاسي عوامل او د هغې فکر او د هغې یو نظر واضحه و لیدلوری ډېر واضحه نه و په دغه والا هغې خاص سیاسي جوړښت نه دی پاتې کړی سیاسي تنظیمي جوړښت یې نه دی لرلی په هغې کې د تنظیم باقاعده ذمهدارۍ نه وې په هغې کې سازمان نه و په هغې کې آرګن نه و لکه سپیشلی باچا خان د خپل سیاسي روزنې او تربیت دپاره داسې وکړو چې هغې پښتون مجله جوړه کړه مجله راله او هغې کې د ټولو سیاسي ورکرانو باقاعده سیاسي روزنه به کېده ذهني او شعوري سطحه د هغې د دې سره پورته کېده په دې مت کې هغې دا نور ټول د هغې ځانګړنې چې د باچا خان کمې وې چې په هغې کې په خپل لاس کار کولو په خپله سرخه چلولو په خپله خپل ژبې او خپل تهذیب ته اهمیت ورکولو د تعلیم په مت کې په وړاندې ځل باندې باچا خان آزادې مدرسې جوړې کړې او بیا خپل بچي راوستو په هغه مدرسو کې کېنول ځکه چې په دغه وخت کې دا پروپیګنډه شروع شو چې سبق د مدرسې وای د پاره د پیسې وای جنت کې به ځای نه وي په دوزخ کې به ګسې وي د دغه عمل مخنیوی باچا خان داسې کوو چې دغه سټارټ دی دغه عمل هم د خپلې کورنۍ نه واخیستو ولې خپل بچي راوستو په دغه سکولونو کې داخل کړو چې بیا د ولی خان او د غني خان غونته لوی هسته هم دغه آزادو مدرسو پیداوار دی چې هغې نن د پښتنو د فکري او قومي او تهذیبي شعور کومه هغه خزانه چې ده په هغې باندې منوره کړې ده موږ په هغې ویاړ کوو په ځای پې ویاړ کوو په دې ټول عمل کې د باچا خان یو خاصیت او یو بله ځانګړنه چې هغه د نننۍ موضوع سره اړه لري هغه د ښځو فعالیت و چې په پښتنه ټولنه کې تر اوسه پورې مو د هغې نه وړاندې وم ښځه یوازې دا نه چې په دې پښتنو کې داسې د احساس کمترۍ سره مخ شوې ده یا د هغې استحصال شوی دی باچا خان دې عمل ته ډېره زیاته توجه ورکړې ده خو د دې سره زه ضروري ګڼم چې په ټول تاریخي تناظر باندې یو سرسري نظر واچو چې د دنیا په دې نورو قومونو کې د نړۍ په نورو قومونو کې په تاریخ کې ښځې ته په کم نظر کتی شوي دي بیا دغه ښځه دا صنفي جوړښت چې دی د نارینه او د زنانه چې ښځه او سړی دا تفریق د کم ځای نه را شروع شو نو دغه تفریق دپاره ضروري ده چې د زړو تهذیبونو د مطالعې د هغې اساطیر او د هغې عقاید او نظریات موږ لږ لږ په هغې سرسري نظر واچو نو ملګرو د عراق لرغونی تهذیب چې دی سومریان میتالوجیکي د میسوپوټیمیا د دې په اساطیري داستانونو کې چې د ټولو نه زوړ داستان کم موندی شوی دی هغه د داستان ګولګامش په نوم باندې یادېږي په داستان ګولګامش کې په وړومبي ځل باندې موږ ته د ښځې او د سړي دا تفریق چې دی دا په نظر راځي د سر کارزینی جارچوي یو ډېر لوی محقق دی د هغه د اردو ورډنګ دی خو زه پښتو دغه به تاسو ته ووایم ژباړه چې بیا د اوبو په ویښ کې یو لړزان پیدا شو دا د هغوی اساطیر دي میتالوجي ده د سومریان میتالوجي چې د اوبو په ویښ کې یو لړزان جوړ شو دیوتاګان وزېږېدل تر ټولو وړاندې لهمو دیوتا او بیا لهامو دیوتی وجود بیا موندو د عمر او قید د پیاوړتیا سره سره بیا په دې نومونه کې ښودی شو بیا ډېرې ورځې پس نارینه النصیر او ورپسې بیا کثیر ښځه پیدا شوه نارینه پیدایش اول او د ښځې وروستی بیا دې څخه وروستو بیا انو اسمان چې هغو د هغو دیوتا دی انو او د هغې نه پس ته بیا ځمکه وزېږېده چې ځمکه هغوی ماده ګڼي او زموږ د پښتو یو ټپه ده چې باران د ځمکې آبادي ده شیرینه یاره زه په تا آباده یم نو دې کې هم د هغه سومریان میتالوجي یو عکس ښکاري چې دغلته کې باران د اسمان نه ورېدل نو اسمان ته نر ویلی شوي دی او ماده بیا ځمکه چې دا پیداواري سیسټم ډیولپ کوي د پیداواري سیسټم سره د دې هغه د مادري نظام یو تاریخي تسلسل پروت دی د چینیانو عقیده دا د زړو چینیانو چې د چین دا هم په یو لرغوني تهذیب شمارلی کېږي د چین د هغوی د عقیدې تر مخه د هغوی دیوتا پات کو او بیا د هغوی چې دا د اسمان دیوتا دی او بیا د هغوی یانګ ماده دیوتا چې ده او ینګ نو دا اول د دې فاعل دیوتا ګوډاګی چې دی یانګ دا په وجود کې راغلی دی بیا د هغې نه وروسته ین دیوی پیدا شوې ده نو د چینیانو د هغې دې مطابق هم ښځه کمتره ده هغه د دویمې درجه کې پیدا شوې ده او سړي ته دغلته کې دغه خاصیت حاصل دی چې دی وړومبی پیدا شوی دی بیا په ریګوید کې چې دا ډېر مقدس ویدونه دي په تاریخ کې د ریګوید په مقدسو ویدونه کې هم په وړومبي ځل د ښځې او سړي تصور چې دی دا د اسمان او د ځمکې په شکل کې مخې ته راغلی دی د هغوی د عقیدې تر مخه د هغو خدای ګوټی چې دی ان دا د ځمکې د سینې نه څو مرس روي او بیا دومره طاقت بیا مومي چې د اسمان نه او ځمکه دا د یو بل نه بیل شي نو په دې کې هغوی اولنۍ پیدایش د اسمان چې هغوی ورته نر وایي او دویم پیدایش ماده د ځمکې ګڼي د قدیمو زړو مصریانو تعذیب چې دی نو دا هم په تاریخ کې د ډېر زیات اهمیت وړ دی د مصر زاړه اساطیر چې دي په هغې کې هم ښځه وروستی پیدا شوې ده او سړی مخکې پیدا شوی دی د دیو تخنون دغه چې کوم دی ګارډ د دیو تخنون خدای ګوټی دی اول پیدا شوی دی او شو د دیو چې ماده دیوی ده دا وروستی پیدا شوې ده دلته کې هم بیا دیو ته دا سړي ته اهمیت ورکړی دی خو دلته د مصر په دې تعذیب کې یو کار شوی دی چې دیو اسمان ته ماده ویلې ده او ځمکې ته یې نر ویلی دی دا یو په ټول تاریخ کې په دې میتالوجیز کې د مصر په دې کې دا یو ځانګړتیا شته چې دوی اسمان ته ښځه ویلې ده او ځمکې ته یې نر ویلی دی اوس د نړۍ په دې ټولو تاریخي او تعذیبي او په دې اساطیري عواملو باندې چې نظر اچو نو بیا د مذهب کې د اسلام په حواله باندې موږ ته داسې یو روښانه غوندې فکر راځي چې د قرآن شریف په سورة المؤمنین کې په آیت نمبر 14 الله تعالی فرمایي چې دا ژباړه به ووایم دغه آیات دغه دی ثم خلقنا النطفة خلقا پھر نطفے کا لوتڑا بنایا پھر لوتڑی کی بوٹی بنائی پھر بوٹی کی ہڈیاں بنائی پھر ہڈیوں پر گوشت پوست چڑھایا پھر اس کی نئی صورت میں بنایا تو خدا جو سب سے بہتر بنانے والا ہے بابرکت ہے تو دلته بیا ښځې ته او سړي ته تفریق نه دی حاصل چې څوک مخکې پیدا شوی دی څوک وروسته پیدا شوی دی د دواړو تخلیق په یو ځای باندې د نطفې نه او بیا د هغې د ارتقایي مدارجو نه چې کله هغه انساني مجسم شکل اخلي تر هغې پورې نو دلته کې دا تخصیص نشته نو په قرآن کې موږ ته په وړومبي ځل باندې داسې یو تصور راځي چې د ښځې او د سړي هغه بالادستي چې کومه په زړو تعذیبونو او اساطیرو کې ده هغه د منځه وړي د ادم د پختۍ نه د هوا جوړېدل چې دا ښځه چې ده هوا دا د آدم علیه السلام د پختۍ نه جوړه شوې ده دا تصور چې دی دا هم په وړومبي ځل باندې په سومیرین میتالوجي کې په داستان ګلګامش کې په نظر راځي په قرآن کې یا په قرآني تعلیماتو کې دا ذکر چرته هم نشته دا د پیغمبر علیه السلام یو حدیث چې د هغې مس انټرپریټیشن کیږي د هغې غلط تشریحات کیږي هغه داسې دی چې د ښځې مثال د یو پختۍ دی که دا ته په زور سره رانیغې نو دا به ماتې شي خو نیغه به نه شي خو که دا ته په نرمۍ او محبت سره رانیغول غواړي نو دا سره د کوږوالي نیغه کیدی شي خو دغه هم ضعیف حدیث دی د علماو تر مخه په قرآن کې داسې قسم څه ذکر نشته دغه نظریه او دغه فکر چې دی نو دا موږ ته د سومیرین میتالوجي نه راغلی دی د کږې پختۍ او دا په سومیرین میتالوجي کې چې کوم حواله هغه دغه ډیټیل کې به بیایي هغه هم دغه سر کارزینی جارچوی په مادر کائنات کې د هغې ذکر داسې کوي چې نانہرسک دیوی ان کی دیوتا سے پوچھتی ہے کہ تجھے کہاں کہاں تکلیف ہے وہ جس وضو کا نام لیتی ہے دیوی اس کے بدلہ ایک دیوتا بنا دیتا ہے دیوی تخلیق کر دیتی ہے اسی طرح وہ آخر میں پوچھتی ہے میرے بھائی تجھے کہاں درد ہے میری پسلی دکھتی ہے تیرے لیے پښتو ژباړه به ووایم چې نن هر څه دیوی چې ده هغه له انکي دیوتا نه پوښتنه کوي چې ستا په کم کم ځای تکلیف دی هغه چې په جواب کې د کم کم اندام نوم اخلي دا هغه اندام په بدله کې یو وړوکی دیوتا پیدا کیږي یا دیوی پیدا کیږي هم دغه رنګه تر اخره دا پوښتنه روانه وي چې بیا دا پوښتنه وشي چې زما وروره په کم ځای تکلیف لرې نو هغه وایي چې پوښتۍ مې دردېږي نو اوس زه له دې پوښتۍ نه ننتي دیوی راځېږم نو دغه ننتي دیوی دا تصور چې دی چې دا د پوښتۍ نه پیدا شوی دا د دغه سومیرین میتالوجي حصه ده په دې هکله اوس دا چې راځو موږ د نړۍ دا نوي او مترقي او تهذیبي قومونه او چې بیا د هغې کم نظر دی د دغه پوهانو چې هغه موږ په نړۍ کې نن ډېر لوی لوی نومونه ګڼو چې هغه نومونه او هغه پوهانو دا خو د تاریخ هغه د اساطیرو یو دور دی او هغه عقاید او کوم تهذیبي رویې چې د ښځې په باره کې مخ په وړاندې تللې وې په دې قومونو کې ارتقایي مدارجو سره هغه شکلونه بدل شوي هم دي خو کوم بعضې ډېر لوی لوی پوهان چې په هغې باندې خپل قومونه فخر هم کوي په ډېر مترقي شکل کې پیش کوي زه د هغوی یو څو کوټیشن ستاسو مخې ته ږدم چې دغه خلک ښځې ته په کم نظر ګوري او بیا د پښتنې معاشرې او د باچا خان نظر شریکوم در سره ارسطو په دنیا کې یو ډېر لوی نوم دی د یونان لوی فلسفي هغه وایي چې ښځې د مینې محبت قابل مخلوق نه دی ځکه چې دوی په جسمانی او ذهني او معاشرتي طور سره د سړي نه کمتري دي زنانه هغه وایي چې زنانه ښځینه صفات چې دي دا د فطرت کموتونه دي دا د ارسطو قول دی د روم شاعر ورجل وایي چې زنانه نیمګړې او ناپایداره مخلوق دی او د دې سیمې د ټولو نه لوی هستي ویلیام شکسپیر وایي چې ای کمزوری ته ښځه یې دا د شکسپیر قول دی الکسندر پوپ وایي چې ښځې د هیڅ کردار جوګه نه دي څه سړي د کاروبار څه د تفریح دپاره خو ښځې محض د جنسیت دپاره دي سیمویل جانسن وایي چې د ښځو اصلاح داسې ده لکه د سپي په خپلو شاتنو تلو تګ کول مشهور برطانوي ناولنګار جارج میریډیت وایي زما یقین دی چې سړی به آخري کم څیز مواظبه کوي هغه به ښځه وي سیګمنټ فرایډ وایي چې زما د 13 کلونو د تحقیق نتیجه دا ده چې د ښځې د لایانیت ښکار ده د مشهور جرمن فلسفي فریډریک مطابق ښځه د خدای دویمه غلطي ده او اطالوي متل دی چې څنګه یو اس په که ښه او که بده خو هغې ته د پیزواني کولو ضرورت وي نو دغه شان که یو ښځه ښه وي او که بده خو دې ته د وهلو ضرورت پیښیږي پښتنې ښځې دې خاص کر واورېده د سپین د خلکو متل دی چې تر ټولو غټه بېوقوفي د ښځې په ښایست باندې باور کول دي او یونانی متل دی چې ښځه د حیوان او انسان ترمنځه دریم مخلوق دی هغه نه حیوان ګڼي نه انسان ګڼي دا دریم مخلوق دی اوس زموږ د پښتنو ټولنه چې ده په دې کې عمومي رویې هغه هم باید چې موږ په نظر کې وساتو چې په داسې معاشره کې چې په کوم کې باچا خان ژوند کوو هغه هم د دغه ټولنیز او د دغه تعذیبي او کلتوري نظام پیداوار و هغه ټولنه کې موږ وایو چې ښځه یا د کور ده یا د ګور ده بیا موږ دا مو چې ښځه د پختۍ نه پیدا ده ځکه کږه ده دا یو عام روایت دی دغه پسې منظر موږ بیان کو او موږ وایو لور خور د پردي کور ده د په دې تعلیم او هیڅ نه دي په کار که د ښځو پوزه نه وی نو غول به یې خوراکو بیا موږ وایو چې هلکان چې د جنکو سره لوبې کوي لکۍ یې کېږي د جنکو په وار پیدا که دا موږ عام چاته پیغور کوو نو موږ دا وایو چې دا د جنکو په وار پیدا دی بیا دام یو مستعمله خبره ده چې په دوزخ کې به ښځې ډېرې په پښتنه ټولنه کې ښځو ته د احترام هم یو عنصر شته چې ښځو ته خلک لار پرېږدي بعضې ځایونو کې ښځه وایي چې ښځه عزت دی ښځه حیا ده خو هغه حیا او عزت کم عنصر چې دی هغه موږ ته معلوم دی چې هغه موږ په شکل کې په کم شکل کې کار چې دا موږ په کور کې پابند کړو لکه نن موږ په خور لور باندې بی ایس وکړو ایم ای وکړو ایم ایس سی وکړو پی ایچ ډي پې وکړو خو بیا چې کور ته راشي نو موږ پرې روزګار نه کوو بیا ورله جاروګۍ ورکړو شوړه وله ورکړو چې اوس لوښي انسه کور جارو کوه موږ سره سرټیفاید غلامان پیدا شي و دا نړۍ په دې ټول تاریخ کې چې ګورو نو د ووټ حق دی ښځو ته کله میلاو شوی مختلفو قومونو کې رای ورکولو حق چې دی په پښتنه معاشره کې اوس ښځې ووټ ورکوي خو بعض ځایونو کې په ووټونو کې عموما ټولې قبیلوي جرګې دا راغونډې شي هغه په جمع اعلان وکړي چې د ښځو د ووټ نه بایکاټ وکړو زموږ په سوات کې عموما دا کار ډېر کېږي چې هلته اوس هم په ښځو باندې جبري طور دا یو پابندي ولګي چې ووټ به نه ورکوي. نو په نوره دنیا کې هم چې ګورو نو په نیوزیلینډ کې دا مهذبه دنیا چې ده په نیوزیلینډ کې په وړاندې ځل باندې په 1893 کې ښځو ته د ووټ حق ورکړ. په امریکا کې په کال 1900 کې ښځې ته ووټ حق ورکړی شوی دی، 80 کاله کېږي. په انګلستان کې دلته په 1928 کال کې د ووټ حق ورکړی شوی دی. په فرانس کې په 1945 کې ښځې ته د ووټ حق ورکړی شوی دی. دا د نورې دنیا د هغه معاشرو حال دی. نو زمونږ چې کوم حال دی هغه ښکاره دی. لکه نن هم زمونږ د چترال سیمه چې ده کیلاشو کې وګورو نو هلته کې ښځه بیخي بني آدم ګڼلی کېږي نه، چې د هغې کم ژوند دی چې ایون د هغې خپل پیریډ راشي نو هغه د کور نه وباسي او په جدا یو غوجله کې هغه کېنولی شي، هغې ته د سپو په شان خوراک ورکړي، بلکې سپو نه هم بدتر، ځکه چې سپي بیا هم آزاد ګرځېدی شي. د سعودي عرب مثال موږ سره دی چې هلته کم د هغې زوړ تهذیب او تاریخ چې و چې هغې کې ښځې ژوندی خښول او تړل او بیړۍ اچول او د دې سره بیا موږ په دې 21مه صدۍ کې ایله هغوی دومره حق بیا موندو چې ښځې ګاډی چلولی شي. نو په عربو کې دومره ترقي راغله. و د دې ټول تاریخي حوالو باندې چې کوم قباحتونه وو، بیا دې کې د کثیر الزوجی یا د اشتراکي فی النسوان چې ورته وایي په فارسۍ کې، چې په هغې کې په تاریخ کې ښځه به یو شریک ملکیت ګڼلی کېده. هغې کې دغه جنسي اختلاط چې کوم بې مهاره کاروان روانو نو د هغې کې د بچي د پالنې او یا د هغې د ملکیت چې د چا بچی دی د دې په معاشره کې چې کوم بګاډ جوړېدو نو د تاریخي تسلسل داسې راتله چې دی ورو ورو د ریاست او د خاندان او په هغه شکل کې چې کومې ضابطې مخې ته راتلې نو دا د نکاح په عمل کې راګیر شو. یو حده پورې ښځه او سړی د معاهدې تحت هغې خپل شریک هغه ژوند ته اړتیا شروع کړه. اوس په دې معاشره کې په دې ټول تاریخي عمل کې چې 100 کاله وړاندې د باچا خان غوندې شخصیت د پښتنو په دغه سیمه کې را پیدا کېږي چې هلته کې مونږ هم نن هم زنانو ته دغه حق نه ورکوو، د ووټ حق نه ورکوو په هغه شکل کې شته. تر اوسه یو حده پورې ډېره زیاته بدلون راغلی دی، خو هغه هم د دغه عمل نتیجه ده کوم چې د باچا خان غوندې خلکو کړی دی.
Next, please welcome my colleague Mavish Ahmad to the podium. We'll shift a bit more into the contemporary issues.
The series of lectures is just 4 years old, and already a beautiful lineup of scholars and poets have spoken here before me. Mukulika Banerjee was mentioned. Khadim Hussain came about 1 or 2 years ago to lecture on the experiments in education for peace. The Pashto poet and writer Ahmad Shasail. And though I'd love to go on about all of these former speakers, there's one I'd like to bring attention to in particular, and that is Muhammad Iqbal, affectionately known to all of us as Iqbal Lala. Iqbal Lala is, as Ziauddin Saab said in his opening speech just 2 years ago, a man of beautiful penmanship, a poet in his own right, who, like Ziauddin Saab himself, is tragically known to all of us because of an act of violence against his own child, though one that his child, unlike Malala, was unable to survive. I'm of course referring to the violent lynching of Mashal Khan in Mardan, and this April will be the 3rd year anniversary of his death. I'm beginning this talk with Iqbal Lala because alongside being the father of a son who's been killed, he shares a fate with 2 sets of communities in Pakistan today that are normally separated when we talk about them, physically, politically, and intellectually, but that I'd like to think of together as part of the theme for this annual lecture, the role of civil society and women's rights, namely Pakistani Pashtuns and Pakistani women. Those who are following events in Pakistan today know that Iqbal Lala is charged under the draconian colonial era sedition section 124A of the Pakistan Penal Code, which is otherwise known as the sedition law, for his involvement in organizing the Student Solidarity March late last year. He's not alone in being charged. I'm sure I don't need to recount or mention the many other political movements and organizers whose constitutionally enshrined right to freedom of speech and assembly, really to political dissent, which is so crucial to the health of any functioning civil or political society, is being violently policed, marginalized, and squashed. So while Iqbal Lala was charged, because what he was trying to do, he was charged for trying to bring the student back as a political actor and an agent in Pakistani political life by calling for a lifting of a ban on student unions. And I imagine that he thought a lot about his son at that time, because before his death, Mashal Khan was criticizing the administration of Abdul Wali Khan University for corruption. Then there are several others that are charged under sedition laws and suspected of treason today in Pakistan because of their insistence to organize on the basis of a shared understanding, not only of the conditions that students live under and try to organize today, but the violent conditions under which many Pakistani Pashtuns have found themselves, particularly in the post-9/11 moment. Alamgir Wazir, another person arrested at the same, arrested and charged. Iqbal Lala is not arrested or not in jail, is in jail both for his Student Solidarity March work, but also because of his identification with Pashtuns who live under conditions of violence, and finds his being rejected for this reason. Now, I'd like to think about this reemergence of sedition laws of late to squash attempts to organize collectively around marginalized identities as something that's taking place at the same time as feminists across Pakistan are preparing for the Aurat March on the 8th of March in just a few weeks. So as we witness women across the country creating beautiful music, art, and literature and working day and night to gather in the hundreds and thousands to reclaim their right to really concretely be part of political and civil society, by insisting on the right to be part of its most material and concrete manifestation, which is public space. We are also witnessing what can only be described as a patriarchal backlash, a violent attempt inside and outside homes to make sure that women stay in their place behind a char diwari. The Aurat March is organized by old and new feminist groups in Pakistan across class, age, and ethnicity, including the Women's Democratic Front, Sindhiani Tehreek, Women's Action Forum, Girls and Dhabas, and several female members of the Awami Workers' Party, and of course, the Awami National Party. Those behind Aurat March are also organizing on the basis of a shared understanding of another kind of violent condition. So as Pakistani Pashtuns have lived under the violent conditions of the war, Pakistani women constantly live under the violent conditions of patriarchy. And they are the primary political agents that feminists are trying to bring attention to. So if the theme of today's lecture, of today's Bacha Khan lecture, is the role of civil society and women's rights, then in this lecture, I'd like to ask, how has society, social life, been policed in order to ensure that a particular type of Pashtun and a particular type of women are systematically excluded from civil and political life? And how, number two, does the repeated exclusion of these two figures obscure or do away with alternative imaginations of state belonging and political community, or of Pakistan and what it could mean to be Pakistani? I think to ask such a question is to truly honor Bacha Khan's legacy. We heard about how when Bacha Khan set up the Azad school in 1921, he enrolled his own daughters in this school. We've heard about this in some of the former Bacha Khan lectures as well, insisting that women, as Usman Sahab also spoke about, Bacha Khan insisted that women must emerge as visible and active agents in public space. And there's, of course, lots of debates, I'm sure, and I know from my Pashtun feminist friends, lots of debates about how even that intervention needs to go further, which we can get into maybe later. In 1948, now, while he was insisting on the inclusion of women in public space, Bacha Khan, when the creation of Pakistan happened, did two things. One, he declared an oath of allegiance in the first Constituent Assembly, as we all know, but he also maintained his role, and as did many of his followers, as political dissidents, an important part of any healthy democratic society. We all know how Dr. Khan Sahab, his brother, was dismissed as the head of the provincial government. He played a role in the establishment of one of Pakistan's first oppositional collectives, the Pakistan Azad Party, and his followers then and today remain a concrete part of Pakistan's political landscape and often its oppositional landscape. In his decision to enroll women in the school, and his decision to continue in the role of political dissident, something that he, of course, also had as an anti-colonial leader, we see the early outlines of a theory of political community whose health is linked to the maintenance of a kind of plurality and difference. And I'll return a little bit at the end of my talk about some forms of difference that perhaps were not fully attended to even within this theory. And for including women and for insisting on a decentralized power structure large enough for Pakistan's multinational community, he was criticized both by his own community, for the women, and by his own state. We all know that there are many who oppose and continue to oppose girls going to school. Ziauddin Saab, Malala's efforts are a reminder of the many battles that we still need to fight. And we all know, of course, that Bacha Khan spent most of his time after 1947, we live in Pakistan now, either in jail or in exile, arrested for the first time already in 1948 and several times after, among other for his ongoing opposition to the centralization of economic, social, linguistic power, political power under schemes like the one unit policy. We know it remains a travesty, but sadly not a surprise, that an annual Bacha Khan lecture does not take place in every university in Pakistan, that we instead must carry it out here in London, so far away from the communities where he worked. As someone who grew up in a Punjabi family from Lahore, I know that within Lahore and in a place like Punjab, Bacha Khan is either not known, and when he is known, tends many times, unfortunately, to be referred to as the ultimate traitor, whose final act of disloyalty was crystallized in his decision to be buried in Jalalabad. This erasure of Bacha Khan, his followers, and the history of persecution they were subject to, goes hand in hand with another set of, I would argue, perhaps even far more substantial erasures. We have yet to write a woman's history of Pakistan because so many of us don't even know which figures, communities, or movements to start with. And much like the marginalization of not just Pakistani Pashtuns, but its many other minorities, Baloch, Sindhis, once Bengalis, are barely touched upon in Pakistani history books, so the foundational act of violence, sadly partition violence, the mass rapes and abductions of women that accompanied Pakistani independence, is barely commemorated in Pakistan today. I don't think it's completely coincidental that a patriarchal violence that happened at the same time as Pakistani independence, and may I add India's independence as well, happened when things like the Babra massacre happened, which also isn't commemorated or remembered within Pakistan, when over 60 supporters of Bacha Khan were killed for protesting his arrest. Or I guess in the case of India, when Kashmir occupation happened. I'm of course not saying that the existing Pakistani state and society has no place for either Pashtuns or women. Of course, there's lots and lots of space. There's a thriving thriving Pashto academy in Peshawar and Quetta, which Usman and many here I'm sure are involved with. Pashtuns have been members of the armed forces, our civil service, our provincial and national assemblies. Our Prime Minister, Imran Khan, also claims a Pashtun identity for political mileage at various points. And many in Punjab, including my family, we proudly say we're Kakazi descent, so Afghan descent, pregnant with references to the beautiful, the tall, the brave. So women similarly have a place. Women are celebrated as mothers, as sisters, as wives and daughters. They're considered mothers of the nation, like Fatima Jinnah and the female relatives of its many martyrs. As a community of Pakistanis responsible for the reproduction of the nation, women embody the country's future. So in these ways, both Pashtuns and women are included within Pakistan. But what I'm trying to say, when I ask how has society excluded Pashtuns and women, how does all this ensure that alternative imaginations in state and society are obscured within Pakistan, what I am saying is that these two figures, the Pashtun and the woman, are only allowed to exist with, in particular, ahistorical and depoliticized ways. So the Pashtun can exist within Pakistan only and primarily as a Pakistani patriot, one who is unattached to an identity across the border, to affectionate relationships with people, sometimes family, across the border in Afghanistan, and one willing to sacrifice his life for the future of the nation, the Pakistani nation. The woman, as a loyal mother's wife, sister, or daughter, is supposed to be somebody who's willing to remain in her place for the purposes of reproducing the next generation to secure the future, also to secure the future of the nation. Any manifestation, or not any, but many manifestations of Pashtunness and womanness that transgress very narrow and patriotic notions tend to be subject to suspicion and violent policing by both sovereign and patriarchal power in ways that are very similar. Bacha Khan and his followers in the Pakistan Azad Party, the National Awami Party, Awami National Party, as well as its many non-party political manifestations like the Pashtun Students Federation, historically demanded that Pakistan became more multinational, multilingual, secular, socialist. These demands never called, several times Bacha Khan said, never called for the breakup of Pakistan, but a reordering of its constitutive relations of power towards a more inclusive dispensation. Yet, every time there was a call for multinationalism, for multilingualism, the Pashtuns, and not just the Pashtuns, we know there are several other minorities, were called treasonous. The Pashtun who demands the inclusion of an evolving person, culture, language, gets cast as an internal enemy, a threat to the very order of the Pakistani state. Similarly, a woman who steps out of her place faces a similar kind of policing. This is perhaps illustrated by the Madre Millat, the mother of the nation herself, Fatima Jinnah, who in her decision to run for the presidency against Ayub Khan, with the support, might I add, of Bacha Khan's supporters in the National Awami Party, who supported her as part of the combined opposition at the time, was accused of being an Indian agent. There are many who forget that attacks against Fatima Jinnah were not just linked to the support that she received from Pakistan's very wide opposition to military rule, it was also very gendered. Ayub Khan constantly accused her of being un-Islamic, as a woman trying to take part, emotional and sentimental. What is interesting and perhaps a bit different today is that those politicizing a Pashtun identity and politicizing a woman identity within mainstream political debate today are not as their central mission trying to get representation within state organs necessarily. Of course, there's a very wide history of how womanhood and Pashtunness is understood, but I'm speaking of its particular politicization today. What is different today is that in both sets of movements and political developments today, what is being put at the center of these two identities is the experience of violence. The violence of the state in the case of the Pashtun, and the violence of patriarchal power in the case of women.
We should fight together.
Yes, that's true. I think this may be because today and this might be something we can discuss, is that in today's organizing, it's not the Pashtun, the urban Pashtun, or the Pashtun perhaps of places like Peshawar Valley that is at the center, but the Pashtuns from what is now formerly FATA, who have been ravaged by 2 decades of the war on terror, who are at the center of this organizing today. I also think that it's because it's not women within political parties fighting other battles, like Fatima Jinnah was not specifically fighting a women's battle, who are at the center, but women actively identifying as feminists, centering their own experience of violent patriarchal systems of power in their organizing. By revealing and bringing into public light these violences against both communities, repressed for so long, as we see with the history of the Babra massacre that I spoke of, but also actually there's the complete silence of the mass rapes, not just during partition, but also 71 really. The communities of Pashtuns and communities of women are insisting on reordering the mono-national, the uninational state and the patriarchal relations of power that undergird Pakistani state and society today. In Pakistan's progressive circles, those of us who have moved around in them, the emergence of the Pashtun and the woman as political subjects, as agents, tend to be referred to under the separate labels of the national question and the woman question. Both of these questions are identified by Pakistani progressives as key fronts in the fight for a more open and inclusive Pakistan. In an interview with the online media collective Jamhoor, one Pashtun socialist feminist and a friend of mine, Ismat Raza Shahjahan, argued that these two questions are at loggerheads, the national question and the woman question, because, she argued, nationalist projects, whether they are Pashtun, Pakistani, anti-colonial or British or American, all have baked into their foundation the patriarchal exclusion of women. I agree with her assessment, let me put that forward, but I'm arguing that there is an insight that you get into Pakistani state and society by understanding how the Pashtun so often gets represented as disloyal, on the one hand, and the woman so often gets represented as dishonorable, merely for insisting that the violence they are subject to should end and that they should be included fully in political life. I think the recent treatment in Pakistani media of certain Pashtun women, many of them feminists, Sana Ijaz, Gulalai Ismail, Ismat Raza Shahjahan, and Ranga Looney, to name a few, is an example of how the charge of disloyalty and the charge of dishonor or looseness often go hand in hand to exclude important conversations. These constant invocations of this constant use of the figure of the traitor to describe any claim by, again, not just Pashtuns, other Baloch, Sindhi, and other Bengali once upon a time. And the figure of the dishonored woman, on the other hand, so the traitor and the dishonored woman, it tends to hide any attempt to really just have a conversation within civil and political society, to have an open conversation about other imaginations of political community within Pakistan and other ways that we can all live together. Let me consider one final trope or stereotype that gets used, especially, and it's a very particular kind of a stereotype that gets used for Pashtuns within Pakistan in particular, which is, of course, that of the terrorist. Now, I'm not saying that armed groups don't exist. We have somebody here from Bacha Khan University who was in an attack, and the APS attack is, of course, a very big reminder, and Malala's, the attack on Malala. But I am saying that that term gets used in very particular ways, many times alongside that of the terrorist, to shut down any attempt to have a political debate. So but what's different about it is that unlike the disloyal Pashtun and the loose woman, the dishonorable woman, both of whom are kind of internal to structures of power, the disloyal Pashtun is considered, somebody like Bacha Khan, who is part of the state, right? But is accused of turning against it, even if he has not, and there's no evidence of it, while the woman is considered as internal to the family and is accused of turning against the family for wanting to be part of public space. The person who's stereotyped as a terrorist is considered not an internal enemy, but completely outside. So unlike the so-called traitor, like Bacha Khan and others who get accused of such, not that Bacha Khan is a traitor, but has been accused of it, the traitor gets formally arrested and formally tried in conspiracy trials. The traitor does not disappear. The terrorist gets enforcibly disappeared and subject to extrajudicial killings, torture, and army operation. The terrorist doesn't even get the dignity of an arrest. It's clear to me that even within, there's an interesting kind of thing happening now when Pashtuns who are formerly Fatah were pushed out of that area before were killed as terrorists, whether or not that was the case, are now being seen as traitors. It's almost, as one colleague of mine said to me, Madiha Tahir, a scholar, it's almost as if they had a step up, because at least now you just get arrested. I'd like to end with a question to round out my talk that Bacha Khan put to the first Legislative Assembly of Pakistan when he tried to push back against accusations that were leveled against him, accusations of treason and provincialism that were constantly being deployed against him and his followers. After insisting in a very long speech that he was not calling for the breakup of Pakistan, he said that he wants to put forward the question, who created the conditions under which everybody thinks that that's what I'm calling for? Why does everybody constantly say that, And I think that's what we need to ask. Why does this label, constantly get attached? And what work does it do? Not both the label of traitor on various minorities within Pakistan, not just the Pashtun, and the label of being a dishonorable woman, right? Get used on any woman who tries to come out on public space. What kind of work does it do in order to constantly exclude and shut down conversation about a more healthy civil and political life? Thank you.
I really, really want to thank Usman and Olasyur for what I, as a scholar of both psychosocial as well as geopolitical borderlands, found to be actually an extremely sophisticated philosophical and metaphysical talk on the nature of bordering and sort of a genealogy of the artificial split between man and woman going back to as far back as humans. more than that, this is mirrored in a sort of metaphysical split between material and spirit, the sort of Madi and Ma'anawi worlds. What is the agent that creates that? I mean, thank you, Mavish, for laying it out. I mean, we've got many different sort of bordering functions that are not just the geopolitical one. In other words, the sort of microcosm of patriarchy split between man and woman and family, and sort of internal other within a nation, sort of mirrored on the macrocosm. So this is another thing, a point of convergence that I found in these two talks, and extraordinarily productive to my mind. Finally, the most interesting thing, though, is not a note of sort of like the constant splitting and the constant separation of people from each other, whether it be on national grounds or whether it be on the construction of gender difference. I mean, the most interesting thing that I found is something that both of you mentioned, and that is the sort of, well, this is also the reason why we're here 4 years in a row, which is to say the extraordinary genius of what this movement was aiming at, and the fact that that sort of imagination continues through the infinitely creative work of both Pakhtun and feminist interventions throughout the many decades-long history of Pakistan. By that I mean, both of you, time and again, called attention to the ways in which, for instance, Bacha Khan attempted to overcome the man-woman divide at the same time that he attempted to invert the material-spiritual divide. Things like privileging the value of material work in such things as making clothing, or pointing out that women should, so the women were relegated to the realm of materiality, must be brought into the realm of intellect and spirit. With that, let me open this up for discussion to the audience. I'm going to ask everybody to give a reflection, ask a question.
How different is Pashtun womanhood, and how inclusive is mainstream Pakistani feminism of the Pashtun woman as well?
Firstly, I'd like to invite the Pashtun women in the audience to answer that question before myself. I guess what I can say is I mentioned some of the very active women nowadays, I mean, other than Malala, of course, whom we all know about, then Sana Ejaz, Ranga Lumi, Usman Khan. These are all, and there is a huge generation of my own friends and comrades, Pashtun feminists who were raised in families of Khudai, you know, with grandfathers and uncles who were part of Khudai Khidmat Gah, and who follow from that genealogy, for sure. In terms of the wider Pakistani feminist movement, the wider Pakistani feminist movement, meaning the various groups of people involved in the audit march today, are very supportive of, have come out with statements because of the fact that many of the women who are involved in the audit march are also involved in current political organizing around some of these issues of the conditions of violence. So there is a kind of same people sometimes moving back and forth. But there are, of course, also various kinds of debates about the security of raising certain kinds of issues and which happen inside, which I can also share with you later.
And my question is related to when you talk about emotion, and I think it sort of links a lot of what the panelists talked about. So art and cultural appreciation is largely an emotional response. Emotions are generally considered globally in literature as a more of a feminine way of thinking, whereas rationality and logic is the male domain. But arguably, emotion is something that lends itself much more to an interpretation of peace and inclusion. And my question to the panel largely is, how can that be taught?
I mean, when we talk about segregation and this division between male and female, and since centuries we have been practicing in patriarchy that this is men's temperament, this is a woman's temperament. A woman is more, and most often associated with emotions, and they say that she has an oceans of tears and she gets sentimental, and men are considered as powerful and strong and like, but these are myths, to be honest. When I compare myself to Torpekai, I'm more emotional than her. Believe me, I cry more than her. I got more traumatic than her when we had the tragedy of our daughter. She was stronger than me, and I'm not saying it, I believe in it, that she was. I was very confused when this happened to our family, and the first person I asked that what happened, was there any role of mine, or could we have done it differently? And she was the person who told me, oh, never think like this. Why should you be thinking negatively or regretting something which you should be proud of? The people who attacked her, they should be ashamed of that. And I never asked any man after that, because my wife told me. So I think this thing kind of division, it's very old, and to unlearn things for men, it will take a long time. Even maybe my Pashtun friend may be considering me or taking me as a Pashtun feminist guy who very much believes in my daughter's freedom, in Torpekai's participation in social gatherings. And Usman Ali this morning told me that you are the only Pashtun in Britain who brings your wife to the gatherings and who believes in freedom. Anyway, I'm not boasting that, but like what I mean, that this is centuries old. And when I will just tell you one story, that I myself even unlearn things that we have learned since centuries through our forefathers. When Malala was moving from home to Oxford, and we were just having this conversation, and she teased me most often. Sometimes she's very cheeky, and she told me about, now I will be moving to Oxford, and there will be men and boys, because I was in all-girls school in Pakistan, and then an all-girls school in Birmingham. There will be a change. And what do you think? And you see, there was still a patriarchal father, which has not completely gone. After a pause, I told her, oh, I trust you, Johnny. And she told me, don't trust me. So I mean, if we let ourselves to be mended and to be fixed, our children can fix us. But this is, centuries old thing, and men should come forward to unlearn the bad things they have learned.
Very quickly, regarding the question before, I of course also remembered RAVA, Revolutionary Association of the Women of Afghanistan, as another group, a very important feminist group. And of course we can't think of any Pashtun feminists which isn't across the border. Of which, by the way, many of the ones who are active in Pakistan today are also members of RAVA. I think that just like it's important, obviously, not to do the man-woman divide, emotion in itself isn't always something that can be used for inclusion. And emotion, there's many kinds of emotions. There's also fear and anxiety. And in my own work, which is on state violence, the production of, for example, the feeling, especially in sites of war and violence, especially because of the way that the state functions through informants, proxy groups, etc., creates a very strong emotion in people, for example, if you don't know whether you can trust somebody. And when you can't trust, if you don't know if you can trust somebody, then you can't form relations with them. And when you can't form relations with them, then you can't be included anywhere because nobody really trusts each other. So emotions isn't always the space of, and women also, within all women groups, we know how women also use emotions against each other, also for patriarchal policing, shaming, etc. So I don't think it's just like, part of breaking down the division is also to assume that emotion is the bedrock of where we'll find all of our solutions.
Right. I have two questions. Number one, what do you think about Bach? Was he just humanist, role, or was he a social worker, or was he a politician, or all in one? That is question one. Second, about the women and Pakhtunkhwa in Afghanistan. Now the people at the moment, they want their daughters to go to school.
Yes.
All of them they want. Now the situation has changed. But what happened? Only 1,000 schools were destroyed in Fata, 730 were destroyed in Pakhtunkhwa. And this case, if the Pashtun women are not going to school, do you think that they are not victim of the situation or circumstances?
سوال په حواله باندې به زه لږ وضاحت داسې وکړم چې د باچا خان د وخت معروضي صورتحال چې کوم و دغه معروضي صورتحال په تناظر کې د پښتنو مسله یوه نه وه، خالص سیاسي نه وه، خالص د اصلاح او د معاشرتي د غم نه وه چې هغې کې د خدای خدمتګار اصلاح لپاره نه په شکل کې هغې کار وکړو. او دریم تاسو د پولیټیکل لکو چې نو خالص سیاسي مسله هم نه وه. په دغه کې پښتانه چونکې په ټولو حوالو باندې محرومه پاتې شو، نو باچا خان ځکه دغه مشترک غونته کې کردار په دغه کې ادا کړی چې هغه د معاشرې د اصلاح کوشش هم کړی دی. هغې په دې کې د تعلیم طرف ته هم ځکه توجه ورکړه چې دغه هغه بنیادي فکر دی چې د ټولو محرومو اولنی لامل دی. بیا دغه سیاسي عمل چې دی چونکې هغه به حیثیت د معاشرې کې د ځان د قبلولو دپاره چې معاشره د هغه خبرې ته غوږ کېږي، نو هغه د اصلاحي کار نه شروع کړې ده. بیا سیاسي ویژن یا سیاسي فکر دا بیا وروسته به نور سوالونه پیدا کېږي. خو د هغه تګلاره چې ده هغه سیاسي وه او دغه چې و عمل هغه د اصلاح کار و.
Before talking about Bacha Khani or Bacha Khan philosophy or his life, we should read about him, how he led his life. Like at that time he built and he established some 70 schools, and that was the time that Pashtuns were not very rich, and that was the time that 98% Pashtuns were not educated, they were not in schools. But look at the inspiration of Bacha Khan, that these schools were run by the Ushr and Zakat. These schools were run by the people. And now we have Bacha Khan schools, and I have heard from its director that they are struggling hard to raise funds for it. While Pashtuns are much richer than that time. So that is the Bacha Khani. Sharing, giving. And I mean, we can talk about for it, days and days. Bacha Khan was action. Really, I totally agree with you. And just talking about Bacha Khani and singing about it, that's not enough. Doing Bacha Khani is very much important. And I'm very glad that here in this gathering we have the representatives of Awami National Party, NP. Welcome to them. And Pakhtunkhwa MAP, Falak Niyaz Khan, thank you for coming. Thank you.
From what I understood of James, the translation, the only thing I just want to say is I'm just being reminded, given your work as an archaeologist in Malacca, and when I was in Quetta, I stayed with a group of midwives. I was doing some research there, who would come from all over Balochistan, both Pathan, Baloch, mixed, really. And in the evenings we would get together and everybody would share, how it is to do this kind of work every day. Also the girls who come into the hospitals, the things that are done to them that we are not allowed to be talked about, really horrible things. I mean, levels of violence are extreme. And I think the truth is that, you're absolutely right, it's practical work. But I think as women, I agree, it's completely shared. And there it's about not just the important work that Bacha Khan did, which was to give a sense of dignity also and autonomy to a Pashtun identity. The other thing is also alliances between women across, because we all face it, also in Punjab, absolutely. Also in the middle of Lahore, even in the upper class in Lahore, there's policing very heavily. And as we begin to move out and work publicly, there will be a backlash and an attempt to put us back. So all of those experiences we have with people watching, and why are you out here? I too have them all the time when I work
They're also here in the UK. There's all sorts of issues. We will, as it begins more and more practical work, there's going to be a chance to put us back. And I remember that both, across class, across ethnicity.
The question was like, what I said, like, if the Pashtun women are not in education and politics. So my question was, do you think they are not victim of the circumstances in that region?
Okay.
It wasn't answered that question.
Right. Why don't I turn this over to Ziauddin Yusafzai and give Usman Ali Olasyur the last word as just to round off the afternoon. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, Zaithan, you are very right. Yes, indeed. During Talibanization, than almost 2,000 schools have been destroyed in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Fata region, S.O.A.S. And is that everything okay? No, everything is okay. Okay, it's fine. And it was a huge loss for especially the Taliban targeted girls' schools. And Zahid, I totally agree with you that when we think of women empowerment, women emancipation, women freedom, the first thing we think of is education. My 5 sisters did not go to school, and their life was decided as they were born. And then I saw the power of education when Malala received in education, and other girls in our valley are getting education. So for girls, education is not just arithmetics or mathematics or computer. For girls, education is emancipation. It's freedom. It is, they become themselves. We have a very good saying in Swat Charbagh. The people of Charbagh are very business minded. They are very good in business. And they say that, oh God, give me a son and then I will deal with everything. And I tell in a different way that give a girl an education and then leave it to her. She'll be free.